Hello, this is Tom for Tabletop Tap Room. We're continuing our Magic series, reviewing a Magic in AD&D, and we've previously done cursed items, the spring on low-level parties, top 10 list of Magic for low-level mages so they don't suck. My top 10 list of Magic to hand out to low-level parties. Now we're going to be reviewing the list on magic armor in the DMG, and yeah, I'm going to propose a few changes to that list. But before we get there, let me just say thanks for watching the video. Thanks to my subscribers. You guys are great. And don't forget that like, subscribe, and bell icon to help me build the channel. And as always, if you agree, disagree, have different ideas, please put a comment. Because it helps the YouTube algorithm. So moving right along, magic armor. There are some omissions in the list of magic armors. I was kind of stunned when I looked at it. There's 26 listings on the magic armor table, and 4 of them have special descriptions because they're like particular thing, more than just +1 leather armor, the type of thing. But 26, and some armors didn't get any love, and 2 of them got completely left off, and those were banded armor and padded armor. Now I kind of get it. Gary, when he was creating the game, he researched a whole bunch of different armors. He put them together on a table, made them incrementally better one than the next. Padded is the bottom of the line next to normal clothes. It's cloth armor, and people think, well, honestly, cloth armor is not that bad. This is cloth armor. This is a gambeson, and it's surprisingly pretty good at warding off blows, padding blows, but it gets no love. And I think, it was snubbed just because, well, it's, who's going to make cloth armor magical? Who does that? And so I think that's part of the thinking there. Banded armor's a bit of a composite armor, and it's a name that was invented in the 19th century. And I'm kind of okay with it getting snubbed. It's kind of armor that was put together, from older styles. And so I'm kind of okay with that. But I have a list here. Let me pull up the chart. Just for schnitz and giggles, here's some leather armor selling for a big $62 on Amazon. Some scale armor, plate mail, big ticket item, $446 for some plate mail, and ring mail. Could not find ring mail on Amazon, but did find ring mail out there. And here's my table. Here we go. So not everything's created equal. Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And chainmail. Only 3 listings of chainmail on a table of 26 listings. So that's 11.5% for magical chainmail armors. Leather only had 1 for 3.8. Plate mail got all the love. Plate mail 7 for 27%. Ring mail, again, 1 for 3.8. Scale mail 7.7 with 2 listings. Splint mail 4 listings. Who wears splint mail? it got a lot of love for 15.4%. Studded leather, again, snub, same as leather for 3.8. And then shields got a lot of love. 7 of them for 27%. So it's an interesting breakdown. It's not a I think in the basic and expert, it's +1 armor, and then you roll to see if it was leather, chain, plate. but this was very specific listings for the armor. Now, one of the things that really jumped out at me with the rules here was that special materials impart greater pluses. For example, very explicitly it says that meteorite steel will give a +3 for armor, and mithril alloy +4, and adamantine alloy or adamantium alloy is +5. Now, the way it put it in the book, and then these things are not in the actual table, I would just say, look, you find sky steel chainmail, you find mithril plate mail. I would just drop those pluses. I mean, what sounds cooler? Sky steel chainmail or chainmail +3? I think sky steel chainmail sounds cooler. It just comes out cooler, and the players are going to be like, ooh, because they don't know what it does. You tell them +3 chainmail, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I know what that does. But when they hear sky steel, they don't really know what it does. They got to look it up. They got to research it. It's a question in the mind, but it sounds interesting. Mithril plate mail. People are going to go, ooh, that sounds cool. I mean, Bilbo had mithril chain, little woven chain link, whatever you want to call that, in Lord of the Rings. And geez, yeah, that's cool. So people are going to hear mithril and go, aha, that sounds like fun. So definitely you've got these better materials. And in later editions of D&D, you had this idea that better crafting, not just better materials. So you had master crafted items that could give a +1, not necessarily be magical. So I think it's some of the same idea that's enshrined here with these fancy metals for better metal armor. Now, that kind of sets up a problem, like, only a +1 suit of leather armor. Why doesn't the Thieves Guild get better than this? They just don't. And I kind of have a problem with that, because better materials mean better bonuses. So what if you had, particularly like, say, with the padded armor or the gambeson, that it was gnome spun gambeson for a +1 or a +2. Basically, gnome spun gambeson is a +1 because it's master crafted. But if it's enchanted, it becomes a +2. So that's kind of cool. It's kind of interesting. There's a little bit of story there. What about a spider silk gambeson? It's a specialty of the drow, and maybe it's a +2 with immunity to the web spell, immunity to the stickiness of spider webs. Perhaps there's a Black Widow gambeson, also a +2, but if worn by a non-drow, it becomes a cursed item, and it will poison the first time you receive damage in a combat. It will poison the wearer if they're not a drow. So therefore, a saving throw must be made, save to nullify the poison effect. Because every combat they get involved in, they're going to be saving one time to nullify the poison effect and hope they don't die before they can get that remove curse spell cast to be able to take this item off. Because I would rule that this armor sticks to your skin just as much as spider silk sticks to you. So definitely you're going to need a remove curse to remove that. I also remember in High Adventure Role-Playing by Rollmaster, Harp, there was a description about, I think it was might have been like a whole book just on magic. They were talking about making magic armor, and they were using an example where the mage is has people collecting the hide of trolls, because trolls have that regeneration ability. So you're collecting the hide and trying to get enough to have leather armor made from it, and then it'll be enchanted, and it will have the leather armor will heal damage done to the leather armor, which is a thing in harp. So that was cool. I always thought that was cool. Now in D&D, we don't have armor taking damage other than, well, rust monsters, yes. But this idea of regeneration of the armor doesn't play as well in D&D. So I would just make it leather armor plus, +1 or +2 regeneration. And so you get a hit point back every turn. But it could be a +2 armor, giving you a +2 to your armor class. But I don't know that I want to make it more than 1 point of hit point regeneration every turn. Or maybe it's 1 point of hit point regeneration every other turn. Or maybe we just use the +2 and make it every other turn. So it works out to the +1. It doesn't feel like you're stiffing the players that way so much, but it's kind of the same effect. So yeah, I like that idea. I've always liked that idea of, harvesting troll hide and getting it made into leather armor. I always thought that was kind of cool. One of the cool features I really liked in harp. So what if the leather armor or studded leather armor was made from wyvern hide? Harder to get, better materials. Therefore, it should have a better plus or some other extra little thing that it does when it's enchanted. That would be cool. Now, one of the features to magic items in AD&D is that they all weigh the same. They all weigh the same as normal clothes. That is a unique feature. Other games don't have that, but you got to remember that is, and that's not one I would house rule away. I would leave it in place. Players are going to love that. It means you can swim in armor. It's kind of cool. So I would keep it. I would allow it. Now, the book does specify that the feature is more powerful for plate than it is for chain. Well, yeah, but that's because plate slows you down more, so you're gaining more speed if it happens to be magical plate armor. Maybe that doesn't happen with that +1 gnome spun gambeson because it's not magical. It's master crafted. Now, so there's a couple of unique armors on the magic items list, and I think they bear some talking. There's actually 4 named things. 2 of them are shields. Shields are straightforward. I'm not interested in those, but let's talk about the plate mail armor of etherealness. This armor comes with a +5 bonus, which seems like a lot. However, that +5 is tied to the 20 charges that the armor has. And so these charges allow it to basically become ethereal, and everything in it and everything you're carrying becomes ethereal. Same as if you use the oil of etherealness. So every time you use up 5 charges, you'll lose a +1. And in the end, it just becomes plain old, plain Jane +1 plate armor. Once you use up, and these charges cannot be replaced. You use them, you lose them. That would mean you could start this armor out at +2 with 10 charges. You could start this armor out at +3 with 15 charges. No. +20 is 5, so 15 would be +4. 10 would be +3. Yeah, so you could start it out with reduced bonus. That might be good. That might be good for your campaign, because +5 feels like a lot of bonus to be giving out. And, smart player would be like, ethereal? Why do I want to turn ethereal? I ain't turning ethereal. Forget that. But certainly that would be, you could start out with it at a lower plus just because some of the charges are used. And you could also make it a MacGuffin. that the players are being hired to go track down some plate armor of etherealness. Their patron wants it. And there is a famous set out there. And when they find that famous set, lo and behold, all the charges have been used, and it's now just +1. The other is the plate armor of vulnerability. Now, for all intents and purposes, you'll test it, they'll review it. It'll seem like it is a +2, +3, whatever it is, armor. Reality is if they think it's a +3 armor, it's a cursed -3 armor. And any time that a creature does a critical hit, a 20, doesn't say that in the book, but it says a 20. We all know that to be a critical hit. The armor completely flies apart, just like all the pieces fly apart off the character. And then they're standing there in their normal clothes, and it's a combat. And how ironic would that be if the creature that rolled the 20 was a goblin, a lowly little goblin, or a lowly little level 1 skeleton, something that just going to make the other players laugh. They're just going to laugh their butts off at the player this happened to. It'll be funny. I would not require a remove curse. I would just, I think this is bad enough. I would just, and it's funny to have the armor fly apart into a million little pieces. Just all the pieces of the armor just pop off and fall to the floor. That's just funny in a combat, and maybe not to the player who was his character was wearing the armor, but yeah, it'll be memorable, and I think that's just fantastic. So this is a great cursed item. Now, I do want to bring out the whole Gygaxian distribution of magic items. I've been preaching this. I've done videos on it. Part of that formula is that 10% of all magic items should be cursed. 2 items on this list are cursed. You got that shield missile attractor and this plate armor of vulnerability. So 2 out of the 26, that was what, a 7.7%. So it's close enough to 10. I feel like it's close enough to 10. I'm good with that. But I did suggest the Black Widow Gambeson as a potentially cursed item. If you're not a drow, or if you're not, if you're not evil aligned, maybe we could open it up a little bit wider. You have to be evil aligned for it not to poison you. That would be interesting. So this is the width and breadth of everything about armor, magic armor in AD&D. I would certainly introduce better materials, better bonuses, and spread some love to leather armor and padded armor. Why not? And I suggested a few ideas. I hope you enjoy them. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Thanks to my subscribers. You guys are great. Don't forget to keep on playing. And, try out, if you're the game master, try out some interesting and fun armors. And for God's sakes, don't say +3 chainmail, say sky metal. Sky metal chainmail or mithril chainmail, depending on the pluses. Go with what is more unique and interesting and fun. This is Tom for Tabletop Tap Room, and I will see you at the gaming table.